So Matt, to start off with, how's the week of training been?
Good week's work. We had a reserve type game on Tuesday where we got some more minutes into some players who hadn't featured on the first team pitch in recent weeks. So generally a positive week. Some players who weren't available last weekend coming closer to availability. We've obviously lost a couple with Ruel and Taylor Moore's suspension. Ruel away on international duty, and we picked up an injury to Lino, unfortunately. So we might get a couple back and might lose a couple others the other end. But generally a good week's work.
So this is the fourth successive game at the Memorial Stadium. What's it been like having so many home games in a row?
Home games is what you want. It's where generally we've been okay in terms of our performances. There's a couple of cup games in there as well. But yeah, I was really pleased last weekend in terms of the atmosphere, the style of the game. I thought it was good teams going at it. Obviously recognition to the fans who played the part in the banners and showing their support for the players who've been through a little bit in the last couple of weeks, or more than a little bit in the last couple of weeks. So I thought it was a day where there was a good unity amongst the fans and supporters, and obviously the players, and we put in a performance which maybe on another day would have warranted 3 points. That wasn't to be, but if we approach the game like we did last weekend, and certainly our home games, we'll give ourselves a good chance.
I was going to mention Reading and Lincoln, two games where you probably didn't get as many points as you want, but two good performances. In the long term, is that really what you want, to have that level of consistency and the points will come? Yes,
but we've got to make it happen. We've got to force the issue in terms of the points return and the goals return and the clean sheet return. That's the nature of the game. That's the business we're in. We can speak long and hard about how pleased we were post Reading, but we lost that game. How pleased we were post Lincoln. We drew that game, so 1 point out of a potential 6, but it certainly feels like we're going in the right direction in terms of our performances. Now, like I say, we've got to force the issue. We've got to make it happen. Be as strong as we were last weekend in our defensive box, and put the opposition under a little bit more pressure on that and goalkeeper.
Now, rightly, you want to focus on how Bristol Rovers play, but what do you make of Crawley, the upcoming opponents? They've picked up some good points in recent weeks.
Yeah, really dangerous team. I think they're top of the possession charts in the opposition half. So not only a good building team, they move the ball really well. We'll have to be on our mettle to withstand their use of the ball, a certain style about them. But like you've alluded to, we're at home, we have to force the issue, we have to put them under pressure, we have to play in their faces as much as we possibly can, and make it a certain type of game where we are dictating what the tempo looks like, and when the ball is generally a clean ball and not a clean ball. I'm looking forward to it. Different type of challenge to Lincoln, which is the beauty of the league this season. Every week will be something totally different, but still in terms of where this group of players are, I feel they're in a good place going into it, and we have to remain that throughout the course.
So Taylor, Ruel and Lino all out, but does that give an opportunity for new players to come in and prove themselves, even if you do want a consistent team?
Yes, obviously a bit of pressure in that right back, right wing back position, with Jack Hunt's injury and Joel Senior not quite being ready to play, so that's not ideal. We'd be a little bit imbalanced in relation to there and that area of the pitch. But in terms of where the squad is, we are looking for rhythm and consistency and not to make too many changes, even more so on the back of the performances getting better like we spoke about. And now players becoming more familiar with each other, producing better performances and scoring more goals and connecting a little bit better. Like I say, in terms of where we were last week, only the real end action was a bit which was missing, but we have to complement Lincoln in terms of their defensive display, like our defence believe nullified the opposition. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that builds. I thought Chrissy moved the best he has done since his return from injury last week, so he'll be in a better position this weekend. And we might have other options top on the pitch. We're waiting on a daily basis on Promise for the weekend, and obviously Bryant's substituted really well top end of the pitch, but he's not an out centre forward. And it won't be long before Gats is back and Ruel's back from international duty. Taylor Moore only misses one game, so generally we're going in the right direction, but certainly for this weekend we seem a little bit light on numbers.
Now, Ruel being out doesn't help your team, but how proud of you are as the Bristol Rovers manager to have a player recognised internationally? Yeah,
that's the biggest thing in football. I think Harry Kane alluded to it rightly in his interview yesterday. Certainly in terms of where players are at top level, the way international football is seen is maybe been dampened over the years for whatever reason. I honestly don't know, but for Ruel it's a massive achievement for himself, big moment for him and his family, and we wish him all the best. He's playing tomorrow night and hopefully start of next week. So 2 opportunities for him to make an impact on international football. We'll miss him, but I think there is a feeling that a break from our environment will do him good. He's yet to really hit the straps in terms of his full form and the full effect of why we brought him to this football club. So looking forward to seeing how he gets on and what sort of form he comes back in. And then anyone else who's had international recognition, that's part and parcel of being a footballer. That's what you work towards. Get on the first team pitch with ourselves, and then if you can get closer to the international stage, Michael's had it, Lena was close to being called up, and obviously Camille's had it in the past as well. Some of our senior ones had it previously throughout their careers, but we're also pleased that it's not affected this weekend's fixture, and we get another game at the men and one to look forward to.
And our final one for me, this week under 14s to get into the men for a much cheaper price. How important is it to get young gas heads through the door?
Well, really important. It's the future in terms of the support base, but also who they're coming through the door with, why they're coming through the door. Sport's a fantastic avenue for society, and as long as they behave themselves accordingly and conduct themselves in the right way and support the team, we need as many bums on seats or people in the stands as possible making the right type of noise, and if we can maybe inspire a few of the next generation this weekend with a performance, you never know, they might end up on the pitch in the future. But for Bristol Rovers as a football club and Bristol as a community, so important that we engage the fan base, not just the younger ones.